You feel fine. You wake up, go through your day, do your usual routine, and nothing feels seriously wrong. Maybe you feel a little more tired than before. Maybe you get out of breath a bit faster. Maybe your energy isn't what it used to be, but you tell yourself, it's just age. And that's exactly where the danger begins. Because what I've seen over and over again is not people suddenly becoming sick. It's people who felt fine for years, until one day something serious happens. A heart problem, a stroke, a sudden diagnosis that feels like it came out of nowhere. But the truth is, it didn't come out of nowhere. It was building quietly, for years. And here's what most people don't realize. Your body doesn't always send loud warnings. Sometimes the signs are subtle, easy to ignore, easy to explain away. A little fatigue, a slight change in breathing, a small drop in energy. Nothing alarming, nothing urgent. But underneath the surface, your body could already be under pressure because there are certain numbers that tell the real story of your health. Numbers that don't depend on how you feel. Numbers that don't lie. Your blood pressure, your heart rate, your blood sugar. These are not just medical terms. They are signals. And when these signals start to shift, they often do it slowly, silently. You don't feel your blood pressure rising. You don't feel damage happening inside your arteries. You don't feel your blood sugar staying high over time. And that's why so many people miss it. They rely on how they feel instead of what their body is actually showing. Now think about this. If something in your body was slowly going wrong and you couldn't feel it, would you want to know? Or would you wait until it becomes a problem you can't ignore? Because by the time symptoms become obvious, the damage has often already been done. In this video, you're going to discover 6 important numbers that can reveal what's really happening inside your body. And more importantly, how checking these simple markers can help you catch problems early, before they turn into something serious. Because feeling fine does not always mean being healthy. And sometimes, the biggest risks are the ones you never feel coming. Now let's start by understanding something very important, why feeling fine can be misleading. Because this is where most people make the biggest mistake. They trust how they feel. If there is no pain, no strong symptom, no obvious problem, they assume everything is okay. But your body doesn't always work that way. In fact, some of the most serious health problems develop silently. No warning, no clear signal, just slow changes happening in the background. Now think about this. Have you ever felt slightly more tired than usual, but ignored it? Have you noticed your energy drop, but blamed it on age? Have you felt a little breathless, but didn't think much of it? These things feel normal. They don't feel dangerous. And that's exactly why they are missed. Because when changes happen gradually, your brain adjusts. What once felt unusual starts to feel normal. And over time, you stop questioning it. Now here's the problem. Your body may be changing, but you don't notice it, because you have nothing to compare it to. You've only ever lived in your own body. So if something slowly gets worse, you adapt to it. And this is what we see again and again. People who felt fine for years, until one day, something serious happens. And it feels sudden, but it wasn't sudden. It was building, slowly, quietly. Now let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body, because this is the part most people don't understand. Your body runs on systems. Your heart, your blood vessels, your metabolism. All of these systems work together to keep you functioning. But over time, these systems can come under stress. Now here's the key point. This stress doesn't always create symptoms. Instead, it creates changes. Changes that can be measured, not felt. And this is where numbers become important, because numbers show you what your body is doing, even when you don't feel it. Now imagine this. Your blood pressure slowly increases. You don't feel it. Your heart starts working harder. You don't notice it. Your blood sugar stays slightly elevated day after day. Still, you feel fine. But inside your body, damage is slowly happening. Now here's something important to understand. Your body is very good at compensating. It can adjust, adapt, keep you functioning even when something is not right. But that compensation has limits. And when those limits are reached, that's when problems appear. Now think about this. Would you rather wait until something breaks, or would you want to catch it early? Because early detection changes everything. And this is where most people go wrong. They wait for symptoms. But symptoms often come late, after the damage has already been building. Now here's the truth. Health is not just about how you feel, it's about what is happening inside your body. And the only way to understand that is to measure it. Because numbers don't guess, numbers don't assume, numbers reveal. Now imagine having a way to see what's happening inside your body before it becomes a problem, to detect changes early, to take action early. That's the power of these health markers. They give you insight, they show you trends, they tell you when something is starting to shift. Now here's the key takeaway from this part. Feeling fine does not always mean being healthy, because many problems develop without clear symptoms. They build slowly, they go unnoticed, until one day they become serious. And by that point, the situation is much harder to manage. But when you start paying attention early, you change the outcome, because early action is always easier than late reaction. In the next part, we're going to talk about the first number, one of the most important signals in your body, and why it can quietly affect your health for years without you even realizing it. Because once you understand this number, you'll start to see your health differently. Now let's move to the first number, because this is one of the most important signals in your body, and also one of the most ignored: blood pressure. You've probably heard this term many times, but most people don't really understand what it actually means. Your blood pressure is the force of blood pushing through your blood vessels. Every second, your heart pumps blood, and that blood travels through a network of arteries and veins. Now here's the key idea. That pressure needs to stay within a healthy range. Not too low, not too high. Because when it stays balanced, your organs receive oxygen and nutrients properly. But when that pressure becomes too high, things begin to change. And here's the dangerous part. You don't feel it. High blood pressure does not cause pain. It does not create obvious symptoms. You can walk around, go through your day, feel completely normal while your blood vessels are under constant stress. Now imagine this. Day after day, year after year, your blood vessels are exposed to higher pressure than they should be. What happens? The walls of those vessels start to change. They become thicker, less flexible, and over time, they become damaged. Now this affects your entire body. Your heart has to work harder. Your brain receives less efficient blood flow. Your kidneys come under strain. But again, you don't feel any of this happening, and that's why it's often called a silent problem. Now think about this. If something in your body was slowly damaging your organs without any warning, would you know? Most people don't. And that's exactly what makes this dangerous, because by the time symptoms appear, the damage has already been building for years. Now here's what we often see. People come in with serious conditions, a heart issue, a stroke, kidney problems, and when their history is checked, their blood pressure had been elevated for a long time. Sometimes they knew, sometimes they didn't, but either way, it wasn't controlled properly. Now here's the important part. This is something you can measure easily. You don't need complicated equipment. You don't need a hospital visit. A simple home monitor can give you this number, and that number tells you a lot. Now generally, a healthy blood pressure is around 120/80. If it consistently goes above that range, especially above 130/85, it's something you should not ignore, because even slightly elevated pressure over a long period of time can cause real damage. Now here's the key idea. It's not about one reading. It's about patterns. What is your average? What is happening over time? Because your body responds to consistency, and so does damage. Now imagine this. You check your blood pressure regularly. You notice small changes early. You take action. That small step can prevent something much bigger. Now compare that to ignoring it. No checking, no awareness. And years later, you're dealing with a serious problem that could have been avoided. That's the difference. Now here's something important to understand. This is not about fear. It's about awareness. Because once you know your numbers, you are no longer guessing. You are making informed decisions. Now take a moment and think about this. Do you know your blood pressure? Not what it was years ago, now. Because that number is telling you what's happening inside your body right now. And if you don't check it, you're relying only on how you feel. And as you've already seen, that is not always reliable. Now let's summarize. Number 1, blood pressure, silent changes, no clear symptoms, long-term damage, easy to measure, powerful signal, simple, but extremely important. In the next part, we're going to talk about the second number, another signal that most people ignore, but one that can reveal how much stress your body is under every single day. And once you understand it, you'll start to see your health in a completely different way. Now let's move to the second number, because this is something most people never think about, your resting heart rate. This is the number of times your heart beats per minute when your body is at rest. Not when you're walking, not when you're active, but when you are calm, relaxed. Now here's the key idea. Your resting heart rate tells you how hard your heart is working, even when you're doing nothing. And that's very important, because your heart should not be working too hard when your body is at rest. Now think about this. If your heart is beating faster than normal, even when you are sitting or lying down, what does that mean? It means your body is under stress. Now this stress can come from different sources. It could be physical, it could be metabolic, it could even be related to your nervous system. But the result is the same. Your heart is working harder than it should. Now here's what most people don't realize. You don't feel a slightly elevated heart rate. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel dangerous. You may feel completely normal, but inside your body, your system is under pressure. Now let's talk about what is considered normal. For most people, a healthy resting heart rate is somewhere between 50 and 70 beats per minute. Some people may be slightly higher, some slightly lower. But when this number consistently stays above 80 or even reaches 90, that's a signal that something is not right. Now imagine this. Your heart beats thousands of times every day. If it is beating faster than necessary, day after day, that adds extra strain. Over time, that strain builds up. And just like with blood pressure, this doesn't create immediate symptoms. It develops slowly. Now here's something important. Your resting heart rate is connected to your overall health. It reflects your fitness level, your stress levels, your metabolic condition. So when this number is high, it's not just about your heart, it's about your whole system. Now let's make this simple. A lower resting heart rate usually means your heart is efficient. It doesn't need to work as hard. But a higher resting heart rate means your heart has to work more to do the same job. Now think about this. Would you want your heart to work harder every single day for no reason? Of course not. And that's why this number matters. Now here's the good news. This is something you can measure easily. You don't need complex tests. You can check it yourself. Place 2 fingers on your wrist. Count your pulse for 30 seconds and multiply by 2. That gives you your resting heart rate. Or you can use a smartwatch, which tracks it automatically. Now here's the key point. Again, it's not about one reading, it's about patterns. What is your average over time? Is it consistently high? Because consistency is what matters. Now imagine this. You track your heart rate regularly. You notice it's slightly elevated. You become aware. And that awareness allows you to act early. Now compare that to ignoring it. You never check it. You assume everything is fine. And over time, your body remains under stress without you even realizing it. That's how problems build. Now here's something very important to understand. This number is not just information. It's feedback. Your body is telling you something. And when you listen early, you can respond early. Now take a moment and ask yourself, do you know your resting heart rate? Not occasionally, consistently. Because this number reflects how your body is functioning every single day. And if it is higher than it should be, that's not something to ignore. Now let's summarize. Number 2, resting heart rate reflects internal stress. No obvious symptoms. Connected to overall health. Easy to measure. Important for long-term health. Simple but powerful. In the next part, we're going to move to another critical number, one that most people overlook completely, but one that can reveal how your body is handling sugar over time. And once you understand it, you'll start to see how small daily habits can have a big impact on your health. Now let's move to the third number, because this is one of the most underestimated signals in your body, your blood sugar. Now most people think about blood sugar only in one situation, diabetes. And if they don't have diabetes, they assume everything is fine. But that's not how it works. Because blood sugar doesn't suddenly become a problem. It changes slowly, over time. And long before someone is diagnosed with diabetes, their blood sugar may already be elevated. Not high enough to cause symptoms, not high enough to be obvious, but high enough to start causing damage. Now here's the important part. You don't feel high blood sugar. It doesn't cause pain. It doesn't create strong warning signs. You can go through your entire day feeling completely normal while your blood sugar stays higher than it should. Now imagine this. Every time you eat, your blood sugar rises. That's normal, but your body is supposed to bring it back down. Now, if this system works properly, everything stays balanced. But if your blood sugar stays elevated day after day, that's where the problem begins. Because high blood sugar over time affects your blood vessels. It affects your nerves. It affects your organs. Now, here's what most people don't realize. This damage doesn't happen suddenly. It builds slowly. just like the other numbers, quietly, without obvious signs. Now think about this. If your blood sugar has been slightly high for months or even years, would you know? Most people wouldn't. And that's why this number is so important, because it shows you something you cannot feel. Now, there are two main ways to understand blood sugar. One is a single reading, but that only tells you what is happening right now. The more important one is your long-term average. This is often measured as HbA1c, and this shows your average blood sugar over the past 2 to 3 months. Now, this is powerful because it reveals patterns, not just moments. Now, generally, a healthy level is below a certain range, and the lower it is, within a healthy limit, the better your body is managing sugar. But when this number is elevated, it means your blood sugar has been high consistently, not just occasionally. Now, here's why this matters. Because consistent elevation creates a harmful environment inside your body. Your blood vessels become damaged, your nerves are affected, your organs come under stress. And again, you don't feel this happening. Now think about the pattern. Blood pressure, heart rate, blood sugar, all of them share something in common. They can change without you feeling anything. And that's why they are dangerous, because they don't demand attention. They quietly continue until something serious happens. Now here's the good news. Blood sugar is one of the most controllable factors. Small changes can make a big difference. What you eat, how often you move, your daily habits, all of these affect your blood sugar. Now imagine this. You become aware of your levels. You make small adjustments. Over time, your numbers improve, and that improvement reduces your risk. Now compare that to ignoring it. No awareness, no changes. And over time, your body is exposed to continuous stress. That's the difference. Now here's something important to understand. This is not about fear, it's about control. Because when you understand your numbers, you take control of your health. Now take a moment and ask yourself, do you know your blood sugar levels? Not guesses, actual numbers. Because that number is telling you what your body is dealing with every single day. Now let's summarize. Number 3, blood sugar silent changes. No clear symptoms, long-term impact. Reflects daily habits. Easy to influence. Simple, but extremely powerful. In the next part, we're going to move forward and bring all of these numbers together so you can understand how they connect and what you can do to protect your health long-term. Because awareness is the first step, but action is what creates real change.